All right, so I wanted to show you guys what this activity would have looked like, but I didn't realize that a lot of the teaching material got thrown in the garbage when the school got closed. So I did my best. I used my best arts and crafts skills to make you a version of this. So I just want to show you what I meant by the pots. So when we have two plants competing, they're in sort of this kind of double wide pot. And when the plants are alone, we have them in these kind of divided pots. So the idea is it's almost the same exact soil volume, but the root systems can't interact when the plants are alone. The idea there is that you could imagine competition for water might become important, particularly in the dry pots. And so then what each group would have got was two sets of plants, one that was well watered and one that was droughted. Obviously these are just made of paper, but you get the idea. So if we just take a look at one of them, so you would have had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 24 plants to deal with. What I've done is I've tried to make the mutants black and white and the wild type green or whatever, but it doesn't matter. You got two kinds of plants. They would have been labeled usually with red and blue tags so you'd know which was which. And then what you need to do is randomly pick one that's going to be your focal individual. So if we take a look at what we have here, right, so this one was going to be, it's got a wild type and a mutant, black and white and green. So this was the competition. You'd randomly pick one. So I'm just going to take the wild type, and then you would process just that plant. And so we were going to measure a couple different things. One of them was shoot weight. Now obviously I don't have a science balance, but I do have a kitchen balance. So you would weigh the shoot mass. You would count the number of leaves that are on the rosette. So, whatever, you know how to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 leaves. So that's the second measurement. You would have measured how tall it was. And I don't have a ruler handy, but I'll know how to use a ruler. And then what we would have done was, you see how this has 3 stems? Often Arabidopsis will have multiple stems like that. And so what we would do is you'd measure the length of all 3 and add them together. So you'll see in the data some of these can be very long, and that's when they have multiple stems. And then the last thing you were going to do is count the number of fruits. So on this silly little cutout, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 fruits that the siliques that you can see have developed. And then you would have done that for all 24 plants. So this is the one that was mutant and wild type. You would have had wild type versus wild type, and you would randomly pick one to measure. You would have had mutant versus mutant, the 2 black and whites, and you would have randomly picked one to measure. We've got the 2 mutants alone, so they're not interacting below ground, but they're still interacting above ground as a control. We've got mutant versus wild type. So remember, there's going to be 2 of these. So since we measured the wild type already, you would measure the mutant on this other one so that we don't have that problem of pseudo-replication. And then we've got the 2 wild types alone. And again, you would only measure one of these. And they're competing above ground, but not below ground as a control. So you would do that for both well-watered and droughted over here, and then that's the whole activity. So just taking measurements of 24 different plants that were either competing or not competing, and all the different pairwise combinations we need to solve a matrix game. And so the activity itself is pretty quick, and kind of like the population lab, the main complicating part comes in doing the calculations to find the evolutionarily stable strategy. So pretty simple lab exercise. And yeah, it's too bad that they threw the plants away. Usually, obviously, the plants are considerably bigger. So you'll see in the data they can have hundreds of fruits. So it does take some time to count all the different fruits. But there you go. Hopefully you understand the activity now.